Good afternoon. Can you say one more time? One more day, one more minute. The Chicken Box is here Thursday, August the 26th. Final Thursday in August. Kids are going back to school. The world is changing rapidly as we speak. Business is being done differently. Stimuluses are going out, but yet we are still in the same situation. I'm Kevin Impeccable Peck, and today we are talking about vax versus non-vax. This is the question. It was Republican and who you voting for just a second ago, but this is the never-ending questions. Whose choice is it? Whose choice do you think it should be? Are you ready for this conversation? We had a couple non-vaxxed people who said they were going to come because we need to share and listen and stop talking, because a lot of times we will just talk about somebody else's opinion or choice without really listening to what they're saying about why that's their choice. So today, if you just tuned in, we're on the Afro-American newspaper, 129 years. Happy birthday, Afro. That was last 2 weeks ago on August the 13th. 129 years of informing, educating, and inspiring people around the world. Put in the chat. Listen, we're actually going to say if you're out there and you're not vaxxed and you feel that you would like to share how you feel about it, we're going to send you the link. You can just put it in the chat, and we're going to do something we never do, and we're just going to invite someone to come up. Now, just be respectful, and if you're disrespectful, we'll cut you off. But we got some great guests today. I'm going to bring out my first guest. I call him my godfather because he is. Dr. James Wood, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing fine, impeccable. How are you?
Man, Baltimore born and raised. You can't call everybody a godfather, but he has been a godly godfather to me. Also, Afro board member and an orthopedic surgeon, practicing medicine for how long now, Dr. Wood?
For 35 years of practice.
35 years. Welcome to the Chicken Box, and I look forward to the conversation. Next is Janine Chippy Bass, Afro staff. She brings all the energy and the chippiness and the cheer, but always is a great conversationalist. Welcome, Janine, to the Chicken Box again.
Good afternoon, guys.
Right, because we said in the staff meeting who would like to come on, and she always raises her hand, and we applaud you for doing that. Thank you for tuning in. Put your name in the chat if you're tuning in and where you're from. We're glad to hear from you. This is going to be a spicy conversation. Black people versus vax and non-vax, or anti-vax, or whatever you think that the names are. The last person right now we have is Tell Tally, also another good friend. And if you notice by his name, he will find out the facts. And a lot of people tell him stuff that I have not known about a person for years. But Tell Tally, welcome to the Chicken Box as we jump into this conversation.
Thank
how
you.
Are you this morning? You good?
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate it. Glad to be here.
Absolutely. Hello, Rachel from the ATL. Cuzzo, Lenore, tuning in. Oh, Yancey. Lenny. Okay, I'm sorry, Lenore. Okay, everybody has a nickname now. That's how we're going. Share this. Hit the share button. We popped up on the Afro-American newspapers feed. This is not only for you, but it's for someone else. But let's get right into it. It's a big question that keeps coming back. Are you going to get the vax, or have you gotten the vax? And if not, why? So I'm going to just pass it to you, Dr. Wood, just to start out, because if you could just share, because you were in the early part of this pandemic, you had actually experienced COVID. So kind of take us from that mindset. That was pre-vax too, right?
Well, vax was just coming out at that time. You had pre-vax. And, unfortunately, it was brought into our pod. And so I did get sick. I got sick, and several other members of my pod got sick.
Say that again one more time. Brought into your pod.
Well, so we were all hunkered down like everyone else was. And we had one person in our family who was traveling. And so in his travels, because he had to keep working, had to keep going out, he would test every time he came back in to town before we put him back into the pod. And so he tested on a Thursday, went and got a haircut on a Saturday, came in to see us on a Monday for a family meeting. We were still inside our home. And by Wednesday, he's saying, I'm sick. I don't feel good. And by Friday, I'm having sniffles and not feeling good as well. He tested positive Wednesday, Thursday. I tested positive on that Friday and was sick for several weeks. And I went through all the stages of COVID. And I got to that point of the 8th or 9th day when the decision was from my doctor, who was speaking to me twice a day, whether or not it's time for me to go to the hospital because, my pulse oximeter, that is my O2, that reads how much saturation of oxygen in your blood is occurring, was going down on an intermittent basis. I had a cough. I had developed a fever. I had the worst muscle aches in the world, sweats, no appetite, no energy. I've never been that, that knocked down by anything before. And then we started steroids, antibiotics, and fortunately I turned around and didn't have to go to the hospital. But again, I'm a physician. I was making the decisions minute by minute. I had my own pulse ox on my finger all the time, checking my blood pressure, checking my temperature, watching how I progressed through this disease. And fortunately, it turned around and I was able to come out of it. So it was just a very significant exposure. And then, I wanted to see what the disease had done to me. So of course you go to your doctor, look at your heart, look at all your lungs and everything else. And fortunately, I'm not a long hauler, so I don't have long residual, but I did have antibodies, and I had a good number of antibodies, both of the acute infection and more toward the chronic. So then the decision comes down to, as the vaccinations come out, do I get vaccinated? And do I then get a booster to what my natural infection had given me? And so we tested everybody tested for antibodies in the family. And it was surprising. The ones that we knew got infected and they had positive tests, they all developed antibodies. But there were a couple of people in the family who had negative tests, but were positive for antibodies. So at some point in time down the road, they had been exposed. But again, I've encouraged all of them, based upon what I know about the vaccine, that I think it makes sense for them to get the vaccine. And we can talk about that as we get into the conversation.
Right. I just wanted to kind of kick it off because you went from, you're a physician, so you monitor yourself a little different sometimes than other people, but you lived through 2 weeks of something that, you've always been an active, healthy guy, something that just knocks you out within a couple of days that was unknown to you can't see it. It was invisible. And all of a sudden you were knocked off your feet. We're gonna put a pin in that. This is the Afro-American newspaper, Chicken BOXX, Black people versus vax and non-vax. And I think everybody's been in the place where they're like, should I get it or shouldn't I get it? But where are you now? Okay, tell Tally, welcome to the show. Tell us what your mindset was about the vax when you first heard it.
Well, just like Dr. Wood, I think everybody was hunkered down. And, you just I was in a wait and see type thing. You hear so much information coming from the United States, from Europe, different places, what's going on, how people are affected, what's going on with the vaccine, how fast can they get it, what's in the vaccine, what's not in the vaccine, is it antibodies? You almost had to become a physician to figure out, like what is going on. And so, you started hearing some of the conspiracy theories in terms of, the Tuskegee experiment, and we're not giving this, and they're going to pick who they're going to do, and this, that, and the other. And I actually, jokingly, I went to my doctor's appointment, because I go like 3 or 4 times a year just for annual physical. They have my, my stuff worked out one time, So I was not joking with him, but because I was hunkered down pretty much, I was going to wait like till around this time, September, October, November, right? Just to kind of think like, well, I'll see how it works out. Everybody's getting it in February, March, April, May, June, July. I'll see what's going on and with the response to it. And then I start having people get it and say, some had some side effects, sick for maybe a day. But I have a child that has special needs. And my biggest concern for her was that I wouldn't want to expose her or somehow contract it, because I didn't know about, going to limited places that I went, and I would lose my mind if she had to be admitted to the hospital and I couldn't go in and be with her and have that kind of fear. So that kind of opened my mind up to say, at least do I speed up the process or do I think about it and concern? So she actually got vaccinated first because the ARC of Howard County offered to their constituents the virus. And so when I saw that she didn't have any side effects, didn't have anything, I kind of started looking at it a little bit more. And of course, my age group wasn't called to have the vaccination yet. And so I did make a decision to have a vaccine. I got the Johnson & Johnson. And then like 3 days later, we hear something out of a Baltimore plant. Or something like, wait a minute. I know I got that dose because I'm right in Baltimore. The plant went straight to, to this thing. So, you start hearing all those things. But now I had no side effects to having this shot. And, of course, still understand and like the conversation of, people, and we can get into this later, as Dr. Wood said, vaccination versus vaccine, because some people have some very strong opinions. But I think I'll end with this, and that, how much do you lean to the science? And I think that this is a moving target in the fact that we don't know a lot of information, down the line, what's going to happen, residual effects and this. But, being a man of faith, you have to realize that, and my pastor always says, use wisdom, in terms of how you move, but don't move without wisdom. So that's kind of where I am with it now. So I am vaccinated. I do, and it encourage people to be vaccinated.
Absolutely. Welcome to the show. This is the Chicken BOXX, Black people versus non-vax and vax. What are we thinking about? How are we processing it a few months later? Where are we going with our families? How are we not being selfish? Before we go on, I'd like to say hello again to Lenora, Joshua from Atlanta, Melvin from Baltimore, Annie from Texas, Dorothy Boware, our wonderful editor, and Belleville, Illinois. It looks like Rita Friedman. How are you guys? Listen, we're doing something special today. If you're not vaxxed, we have a lot of everybody here has taken the vax, but if you're not vaxxed and you would like to share why you're not vaxxed, just put it in the chat. I will send you the link. Well, I'm going to put the link in. We can only have 10 guests on the screen. But if you really feel strongly and would like to share today, please just put it in the chat and we will bring you up here so you can be part of the conversation. Because the whole thing about it is we have to understand each other, and we have to learn that everybody doesn't think the same, and that's fine. But then who does it affect in a global pandemic? Chippy Bass, one of the Afro employees. She brings cheer and energy to every situation, and she gladly decided to come on and talk about her experience with not only the pandemic, but the vaccine. Why don't you take us back to your first thoughts before you actually did get vaccinated?
My first thoughts were I was afraid as well. I was afraid. When the pandemic started, I actually was thinking about population control, especially when it went global. I was like, oh my goodness, they have found something that they're putting out all across the world through drones and airplanes, spraying it down like they did the pesticides on the farmers' lands and all that. I mean, I was like freaking out. I didn't want to go outside every time an airplane went over the house. I said, nope, canceling everything today. I'm staying in. So those things were in my mind. And then when they started talking about the vaccination, I was, okay, how do they figure this out this fast? But then you started hearing stories about this was known 2019. We had warnings, but those who were supposed to bring it forward didn't do so. So do we go as guinea pigs and let somebody stick a needle, which I'm very scared of needles, to let somebody go and stick a needle in my arm, put something in my body, and then I'm going to be used as a guinea pig? Well, as time went on, I was coming up to my 64th birthday, and they started talking about our age group needing to go and get vaccinated. I decided, let me see. Let me look for statistics. Let me look into facts. Let me stop listening to what people are saying, because that's where my mindset was a lot. But then when I started thinking about my 101-year-old aunt and wanting to go visit her, because, of course, no one could go see them prior to the vaccination, during the vaccination period. And then afterwards, it's like, if you get it, you can come. If not, you can't. I'm going to see Auntie. I must. So I bit the bullet and I went and was vaccinated. And I tried to encourage and have been encouraging family members who some have gone forward, yes, to do so. And some have their own preservations to hold back. But mine was skeptical at first. And then I decided because of life that I wasn't going to be the one to take anybody down. I'm going to go and be thoughtful about others. And I was vaccinated in May, my birthday.
Thank you for sharing, Chippy. I see you, Lenora Yancey. I put the StreamYard. It's best from Google Chrome or from a phone or iPad. If you click the link, I will see you backstage and I will bring you into the conversation. Just make sure you're away from noise and that you have a clear camera. People are tuning in. Let's see what Keela Bell. We still don't know the long-term effect if you contact COVID. I'll take my chance with the vaccine. Good point. But you can still get COVID, Natasha says, with the vaccination.
Yes.
Which is absolutely true. Doc, do you want to speak to that last comment?
I think Natasha's right on the money. You can still get COVID, and they're calling them breakthrough infections. And now, of course, we think that the Delta variant, because it appears to be 2 times more communicable, and it does tend to cause a more severe infection. But what we do know, Natasha, is that you can get COVID with a breakthrough, and we're looking at breakthrough infections at about 3 to 5%, depending upon which area of the country you're looking at and which areas you think about. But what we're finding is that people who need to be hospitalized, when I hit that day 8 or that day 9, when things are really going bad, if you've had the vaccination, your chances of you being really sick from this is extremely low compared to the folks who have not been vaccinated. So when I talk to my colleagues, nurses, doctors, others in the hospitals, and we're looking at the hospitals fill up, where they're being filled up with unvaccinated folks. Those are the ones that are getting really sick and really having the problem. And so I think it's a trade-off, but I think I think the numbers are real clear that at this point, from what we understand and what we see in terms of the numbers, if you've had the vaccination, you're not going to be the one that's sitting in an ICU bed. You're not going to get on a ventilator, and you're not going to be the one that dies from this disease. So I think we can say that we can say. There's so many other things we don't know about it, but I think pretty clearly we can say that and say that in good conscience.
Absolutely. Now, thank you for that point. You have medical colleagues. A lot of people have heard about things that happen. And some people have actually gone into the hospitals. And we were talking the other night, Doc, that some of our medical professionals have grown numb in some aspects because it's day after hour after minute of seeing people suffer. And they could tell you, they have long shifts. It's not a lot of people who want to work around people with COVID. and for a minute, everybody in the hospital wasn't vaccinated. I don't know if it's a policy now that you must be or not. Somebody can clarify that in the chat. But it's a lonely place. Like Craig said, his daughter has special needs, cerebral palsy, and she can't fend for herself for the rest of her life. He's going to take care of her. And he couldn't have her being in a place where she can't communicate how she clearly feels, but around others. So what I hear, a lot of people who got the vax, and I'm an early adopter on a lot of things, but on the vax, I was like, no way, right? I'm going to wait. But January, because my father-in-law is 94, the phone rang, and my wife was like, I'm going. So I'm not, excuse my language, rather than looking like the punk in the house. I'm like, yeah. Well, if we won, you know what I'm saying? If you're going down, then I'm going to have to go down. We don't, if it is a going down, because January, you gotta know it was really, the thought of it was like, you could go there and they had things that they had to throw away when they took them out the refrigerator because it wasn't enough people who was getting it. So we piled in the car and we kind of bum rushed them without an appointment. And they did everybody in the car because there wasn't a lot of people who were lining up. And so needless to say, that was January. And I'm like you, Craig. I trusted God, but I didn't want to be the guy. You know what I mean? I don't want to be the guy of an invisible disease to affect somebody. Now, I have a good friend. I've been in the music business as a sidebar for 25 years, managing Drew Hill, the guy who wrote the music for In My Bed. Ralph Stacey, rest in peace, passed away from COVID the other day. So I talked to the person who wrote the lyrics because his name was Raphael. Raphael and Ralph wrote In My Bed, the record. Raphael called me to say, did I know that Ralph had passed? And so we got to talking about it. And because it was known that it was COVID, then he went on to mention that a good friend of his in Atlanta had been willy-nilly, you know what I mean, just kind of like, you know what I mean, this is not real, it's not whatever. He goes out, living a little reckless, even though you can't see it, and he brings it back to the pod, like Dr. Wood said. And now his mother
my Lord.
And his father
my Lord.
passed away within a week of what he brought back home.
My Lord. My Lord. That's what I did not want.
And what I hear all of us saying, and a lot of people in the chat, is I don't want to be that guy. You know what I mean? I don't want to be that woman who brings an invisible situation. And the science is saying, especially from the doctors, is that your chance of surviving is much higher with the vaccination, right?
Yes.
You're going to get it. Jump in, Callie.
Yeah, I just had a question. I think one of the things that I've been seeing in the chat and Dr. Wood can address is terms of vaccination versus not being vaccinated is because I hear a lot of people saying, well, I can build my own immune system up. I can use herbals. I don't know what's in the vaccination, or they're putting a strain of the virus in there to build my antibodies to it or whatever. So I guess one of the things, is, to understand, like, I know when we get a flu shot, they say they kind of introduce some of the mechanism of the flu shot into your body. And so your body builds up, this immune. So I wanted to maybe address that part of, people sometimes for what they call religious reasons, or they're woke, and being woke, God doesn't want you to put foreign things in your body, but you can build. So I wanted to speak to that a little bit, Dr. Woods, in terms of what actually are you getting supposedly with the shots that is making your body respond to it versus what do you think about I can naturally or through herbal or whatever build my body up where it's just as effective as getting a vaccine, so thus I don't get the vaccine?
Well, is the background noise okay? Because I've got folks outside my window. Can you hear me?
We can't hear them.
We can't hear it at all.
Oh, good. Okay. So, again, I saw that comment about the natural immune system. I agree with that 100%. Anything you can do to build your natural immune system so it reacts to whatever it's exposed to is good. But it's more, that's scattershot in the sense that it's going to react to whatever is out there in the world. The immune system learns. It's a ongoing learning process. So as it gets exposed to things, if it doesn't kill you, it makes you stronger. So the immune system then recognizes it as being foreign, being bad, and then tries to protect you from it after it's had its way. And so what we're getting in these vaccines is we're getting fragments of genetic material that looks like the virus and is built on the spike protein, but it's not the virus. So the immune system is getting exposure to what is on the virus, but it doesn't infect the cells and take over the DNA and replicate inside the cells. You'll find these fragments in other places in the body. You'll find it being picked up in the liver, spleen, and other places when you do autopsies and see that you have been exposed to the vaccine, but it doesn't make you sick because the virus is not intact. There's not enough of the genetic material, and it's not organized in such a way that it can take over your cell. But what it does do, it tells the immune system, hey, take a look at this. This has just come into the body. This is not part of our overall protein genetic material, and so we don't like it. We're going to build something against it. And that's what the vaccine is doing. Mm-hmm. And so we've got the messenger RNA vaccines that are your Pfizers, your Modernas. We've got the more traditional vaccines that are your Johnson & Johnsons. And oh, by the way, none of those vaccines from that Baltimore plant really got out there. And when you think about the 6 or 8 people that had blood clots related to that vaccine, at least they saw, This is out of a huge number of people. It's like you got to win the lottery 3 times in order for you to get to those numbers of what we're talking about when we see these blood clots. And of course, when you're doing that type of surveillance, you're really following everyone. Who's to say these people were not going to have blood clots anyhow? Though I have to think that these vaccines, because of the way we react to them when we get these shots, they do have an effect on the body. I've seen people get the vaccine and describe what I felt when I first got sick, and just the muscle aches, the fatigue, the profound fatigue, the local area of pain. It didn't go anywhere. So it didn't go anywhere. The body reacted to it, shut itself down, and it kept going. So, I mean, let me be humble about this with all the folks that are writing in. We are just at the beginning of understanding all of this in any type of scientific way. There are a lot of dead zones and a lot of places we don't know. But I would tell you the things we do know, especially because when you look at like the UK, Israel, they have closed medical systems. And so you get all these folks who are exposed to COVID who also been vaccinated that they're following very closely. And so we're learning a lot from those people about breakthrough infection and who really gets sick.
So, Dr. Wood, excuse me, I just want a statement from what you just said. It sounds to me like the vaccine is similar to the flu vaccine. Can you hear me? Can you hear me clearly?
We can hear you clearly.
Okay. So it sounds like when you were describing how the foreign antibodies are put into our system to fight off and be immune to coronavirus itself. However, I remember my mom getting the flu shot all the time, and I didn't want to get it. And people were saying that it was a virus for a virus to kill off a virus and stuff like that. So that sounds like you're describing it similar. But mom she got sick from it, but I also know other persons who took it and did not get sick from it. So it's like you really taking on your personal view about it and your health. But when I started off, like my daughter would always tell me, Mom, if you stay healthy, if you do herbs, if you do, all these things to keep myself healthy, then I can fight it off. I did that for a long while. And like I said, I finally came to, no, I'm going to get this, to have it. But what I'm saying is how we looked at the flu shot, did not want to take that, but eventually took that. We look at the vaccine now for the coronavirus, don't want to take it, but we need to take it so that we will not be one who passes it forward to someone else, and also one who won't end up in ICU.
Absolutely. Welcome to the Chicken Box, everybody. T.I., Lenora, Rita. Lenora, I put the link back in. You just copy it and paste it in your Chrome browser. If you have a camera and a microphone on your laptop or phone, you should be able to join the conversation. And anybody else unvaxxed, we would like to hear from you. Everybody on here is vaxxed. And we have stories, of course, that we will share a little later of friends that we know and people that we know. And it becomes a choice. And everybody wants to know whose choice is it? How do you feel about that? Whose choice do you think it should be in a global pandemic? I mean, whose choice is to send everybody back to school with all kinds of invisible pandemics flying around and nobody is sure if everybody's vaccinated? There's already been thousands of people with fraud vaccination cards going on across the country. It's like you want to be vaxxed, you want to play like you vaxxed, but you're not. You want to have the card to be able to do something. But then again, there lies the selfishness. This is the Chicken Box where we get to speak our truth. Now, your truth is not always the truth, but it's yours. When you hold on to it, whether it's the truth or your truth, it matters to you, if that makes any sense. But when we're talking about this vaccine and who you could affect, you got to all of a sudden say, okay, well, I'm not really getting it for me. And some people are like, well, 20 years from down the road, or I'm not sure what's going to happen. You begin to put something, you begin to get anxious and put anxiety into something. You are so worried about if you're going to die over the vaccine that you forget to look to the left when you step off the curb and you get hit by a bus. And that's it. The 20 years didn't even matter. And you stop living and you stop enjoying your life and you stop spending time with your family. And our seniors are suffering because they need people to come help them and love on them during this time. And if you do not have the vax, you do not know for sure if you're walking in that door. Lenora, I don't know if you could get on, but we're waiting for you. Anybody else who would like to get on and be part of the conversation, just go to where it says Afro-American Newspapers, the StreamYard link. You can come on and join the conversation. Thank you, everybody who is not only sharing, but sharing links, because everything is about information. The Afro-American Newspaper's goal for 129 years is to inform, inspire, educate, and uplift our community in a true voice, not one that's manipulated, not one that's trying to force you to do anything. We are the voice of the Black community. We are the Black Media Authority, not only with a legacy edition of a newspaper for years, but we also have Afro.com that we've had for years also. For less than 2 Uber Eats, you can continue to support this organization that has young media professionals, journalists. It takes money to run a company and to be able to speak your truth without somebody else putting their sugar on the top. So go to afro.com, get a subscription, click the red button or the green button if you're on mobile, and support an organization that for over 129 years, business or non-business, that is a big feat that continues to bring you information. So that's it's not a shameless plug, that's my plug. If we don't ask for the money from each other, the other people are not going to give it to us. They're going to try to buy us. They want to buy us. They've been trying to buy the Afro for years. It's not happening. We're not going to be like BET and then allow you just to take all of the things that inspire us. I'm not making a shot at Bob Johnson for making his money, but I'm saying once Viacom bought BET, anything that was newsworthy, educational, that made your mind think, they took off. Think about all those shows that had any kind of thought about it was removed with just entertainment and distraction. And we're being distracted now because we got to come together as a community to figure out, are you going to do this vax or not? Because I found out if they really wanted to kill some Black folks, they would have put it in the Popeye's chicken sandwich. I'm just letting you know. Am I lying? Somebody. Anyway, let's talk about this. Tell Tally. It kicked you out, Lenore? It let me in and kicked you out. Send your email. Well, I don't know how to send your email. Shoot, I don't want to put my email out here for everybody. All right. Send your email to kp@afro.com. Okay. Lenore, and I will try to get this link sent to you because I really want to hear what you have to say. Thanks, everybody. Robert. Let's see what's Robert's talking about. Political science. It's real dangerous, all about diversity. Look it up and understand that first. Absolutely. It's a lot going on at the same time. It is people dying, but the media just harps on the worst, right? You don't hear Dr. Wood got COVID and made it through. You don't hear about the people who are, where's the balance? I understand that you want this fear factor to build up in the media, but where is the balance, everybody? Where are the hundreds of thousands of people who are getting COVID, moving through? Well, yeah, it's always going to be some other cases, but when you get the facts and you really look at the numbers, you're going to see that the numbers are higher on the positive side than they are on the lower side. Thank you, Dr. Draper, for joining in. She's our illustrious co-host. She couldn't be with us today. And also Misha Green, my millennial friend. People get to take a vacation. And she was in line. I remember when she got her vaccine, she went on Facebook Live on the Afro, and she's, she'll admit she's a germaphobe and she was really fearful, but just for her family, she got it. So let's get to the conversation about your friends who haven't had it, since we don't have a non-vaxxer. What have you heard out there? Let's start with you, Telltale. What are people saying are some of their reasons that they're sharing, which are all valid because they're your reasons. But what are you hearing out there for people who aren't getting the vaccination?
Well, I've had a couple of coworkers that one I spoke to recently, or we had a group huddle or whatever we have. I work for a mortgage company and I'm a trainer, a regional trainer. And one of our colleagues announced to the group that she had COVID, she contracted it. And so we didn't really ask, I guess, because it's sort of I think a personal decision in a group setting. So in speaking with her, I asked her if she'd been vaccinated, and she said, I didn't. She said, and not so much that she was against it, but it was more of I'll wait and see. And she was, as Dr. Wood said, in her pod. It was just her and her boyfriend. She said, I'm a germaphobe since high school. I wash my hands 1,000 times a day. I wear a mask. I do all of those things that I thought were protected. And I'm assuming that her boyfriend went outside of the pod or whatever, but he first came down with something that she recently, within the last week and a half. And from what I'm understanding, her and other friends that I've had said it was really just the migraine headaches, the loss of taste, the face feeling like it was numb. She couldn't feel it, the aches, the body pains, nothing she had ever experienced before. And so, of course, we talked about that a little bit. And again, she said, in her opinion, she still has somewhat of the concern of somewhat of the vaccination and what it'll do, maybe the long-term effects. But in hindsight, what she's feeling now versus what, though she thinks she would have probably gone if she had known, and become vaccinated. Now, again, she hasn't been hospitalized. So they've done sort of the same thing, antibiotics, Dr. Woods, and other things like that. So it hasn't gone. And, and I told her, and I shared with you what I told her in terms of her oxygen levels and things like that. And if they change to drastically, so monitor it. But it is a thing, again, where now she has two sick people at home kind of taking care of each other. And somebody that is not sick can't really come in and nurse you back to health, because they ain't trying to get it, you know what I mean? So it's like, we sick, I feel bad, but we both got to be in here together, help each other. So lift your head above the pillow. I don't want your lungs to get congested. Walk around, pat your back, whatever, all of those things. But they have to do it both not feeling well and deal with it. So that's been, and I've had several stories kind of like that. People who just decided I'm in, my pod and I'm going to be okay.
So this is where the healthcare workers go in every day. And now they get the worst of the worst. People are coming in, that group right there that you're talking about that are nursing themselves until the point where they can't breathe, can't catch a breath, can't sing, can't talk. And then they know that their breathlessness is such that they cannot sustain themselves, can't get up and go to the bathroom because it's really, they're having that much respiratory distress. Then they're in the hospital. And that means that those people who leave every day from their home to go to the hospitals to take care of these folks are saying, they have to ask, were you vaccinated, were you not? People will say, well, for a variety of reasons, I didn't get a vaccination because I'm worried about reproduction. I'm worried about things down the road. I'm worried about these other things. But we've got this bad virus out here running around that will kill you. Somebody talked about this earlier about, when I hit day 8 or day 9, that's the day that you go one way or the other. Either you're going to get better or you're going to find yourself in the hospital on a ventilator. And that's sort of that Rubicon day. And of course, even then, we don't know, you don't know at that point while you're ill, whether you're going to come out of it or not. So there's no treatment that is absolutely going to work with this situation. But we do know that steroids have done a lot to keep the cytokine storm, which is a storm of immunization, of immunological reaction by the body to the virus, that it attacks itself. And that is what takes you out.
Absolutely. Lenora is backstage. Lenora, you had to turn your camera on. I see you back here. If you can hear my voice, I will bring you on. If not, you will just look like, or it says you're not connected. You need to connect your microphone and camera. It's a little cam and mic button. It looks like a gear. If you see that, Lenora, connect your camera and your microphone, and then we'll be able to hear you and see you. Thank you. This is the first time, guys. Typically, everybody who's a guest comes right on. They're used to Zooming and streaming, and everybody isn't, right? Everybody, when we started Zooming and streaming, you were seeing everything. Everything. I can't hear you. You're on mute. I think you're on mute is probably the most famous line.
That's why the Afro has the unmute cup. Where's yours?
Absolutely, absolutely. But Lenore, we are here with you, hoping that you can get in on the conversation. Rachel, we see you. Akila said she just got off the event. I'm glad that you are here in this conversation. Everybody who's gone through it, man, we're glad that you are here another day. And I don't know if you had the vax before, or you got it, or whatever the situation is, but man, you got it. And I always want to say you need. I can't say you need. It's maybe you should. You know what I mean? Because you need. It's your choice. You know what I mean? Just like if you jump off in the bungee jump and the bungee snaps, it's your choice, right? You know what I mean? It's not that drastic, but it is. You know, it really is. So Chippy, what are you hearing from your friends that are non-vax?
For those that's non-vaxxed, again, I'm hearing that it's foreign particles going into your body, what it's going to do to me, what it's going to stop, me down the line. And I've even seen having kids, am I going to still be able to have kids? Is that going to affect my system? And in what way will it? We don't know yet. I'm hearing that it's too soon. I mean, we're now in August, so we have many people out here who have been vaccinated in many cases of survival and not getting it. So I think it's time to stop saying it took, too soon to create the vaccination. Let's just look at some more facts about it and look around you. The other persons were just saying, hey, again, if I keep my immune system up, I eat right, I do my vegetables, I do my fruits, I take echinacea and vitamin D, vitamin C and all that.
Sea moss and turmeric and
yeah,
ginger
turmeric,
and apple
yes,
cider
then,
vinegar.
yes, then I'm going to be good. But yet these people still go around crowds. They go around crowds unmasked. They don't have their mask. Other people don't have their mask. So who's to say that you're not bringing something back? Yeah, your system might be up, but you still might have a little something in there that you're going to bring home to somebody who's not vaccinated. Or you might bring it to me because I'm vaccinated. So now I have to go through those changes. So I really think that we look for the facts, get vaxxed.
I like how you said that, y'all. We did a special. And people looked at us a little funny, some people, and some people were like, thank you for the information. It was called Get the Facts on the Vax. We partner with Johns Hopkins. And you're like, well, maybe I don't trust Johns Hopkins. Maybe I don't trust Johnson & Johnson. Maybe I don't trust Pfizer. Who do you trust? Okay, we have African Americans who were working on the vaccine who say some of the technology and the science has been around for 10 years that they use. So it really was a decade worth of research when they put it into it. So was it too soon? Some people just got woke. They just heard about, matter of fact, they just heard about Tulsa last week, and they heard about Tuskegee experiment the week before. And now they brought that into their psyche. And then who are you really listening to? What are the facts? Like, have you done any kind of research? Now, if you haven't, go watch on the Afro-American newspapers, Get the Facts on the Facts. We have some great doctors who came on, and they're going to give you at least some more information and some direction where you can go to find out some information for yourself. If you're still, some people are still on the fence. And like you said, it is your choice. It is your choice right now, currently, to get the vax. Now, some employees, this is their choice as corporations to say, we're going to draw a tough and hard line because it's invisible and it's not fair for the masses to be subjected to something that's invisible. And that's that company's choice, right? We're hearing about it. It's places in New York. It's establishments that are drawing a tough line, because sometimes a tough line has to be drawn, because sometimes people's decision-making will not catch up to as fast as the disease is spreading. So I'm saying draw a tough line in schools. If you're not vaccinated, you can't teach and you can't come to school. That's it. Because you have people who live with seniors. You have people who live with high-risk people that are taking something invisible from school that you don't know who has and bringing it home. Yeah, we're rushing back to get back, but the kids under 12 can't get vaccinated. So when you bring it in and your 9-year-old gets sick and passes away, then all of a sudden, oh, I should have got it. I should have got it then. But it's heartache at that point. It's buckets of tears. It's guilt. It's something that you carry every day because you went with something that, these same companies make your lotion. You know what I mean? They make other products that if they trying to get you on this conspiracy, they got you already. They put it in Cheerios. They put it in fried chicken. They already got you. You know what I mean? But this is impeccable view. I'm on the box right now, y'all.
Yeah.
Stepped up on the chicken box. There has to be a tough line. Apple gave you a tough line. They cut the cord on you. You can't get no AirPods with a cord anymore. They took a hard line. They said, look, I'm going to push you into the future of wireless headphones. Yeah, that's saying that is, but somebody's going to have to draw a tough line. Let's see. Natasha T.I. Francis said there are millions not yet eligible for the vaccine. Right. Think about those people. She said that's disturbing. Fact, it's not FDA approved, and pharmaceutical companies are not liable for any adverse effects caused. Well, now one thing is FDA approved, and if you go Google what it takes to become FDA approved, you probably don't even trust the FDA. But you know what I mean? But you have to trust something, or you don't. You understand what I'm saying? The choice is still in your hands right now, but the world, it seems like they're not going to let it be in our hands for much longer because of the adverse effects of this invisible disease. Let's see. Lenora, we tried to get you on there. Lenora, you're going to email me. I'm going to bring you on another call. You know what I mean? The enemy, Lenora, you must have something good to say. Because I saw you. Try with your phone, Lenora, to get on. I really want to hear what you have to say. Let me see. I have an MPH. I think talking to your primary doctor can answer your questions, and then they'll see if you have a better chance of living if you get the vaccine. Let me tell you something. Everybody has a day. Now, whether you believe in the Bible or not, you live long enough, you know it's your day is coming when you're going to be born and when you're going to die. Now, you can put it all on COVID, you know, and put it there, but everybody has a day. That's a time appointed for you to pass away. You don't know the minute or the hour that it's going to happen.
That's right. Right. When I get off this call, I could just stand up and be gone. So we just have to leave it
with a lady
in the
at
higher
church.
power.
She was in the choir. She sang her song and she died right there in the choir loft.
Mm-hmm.
No COVID, no anything.
Right.
But non-vax versus vax. This is Black people. We're on the box. I think everybody, Regina, we don't have enough time to get everything in. When you look at the facts on the vax that the Afro did, not only with Johns Hopkins, but with other professionals, you'll find out a lot of these rumors that we hold on to are not true when you dig into the facts. From what the science says, not what Impeccable says, but from what the science says. So let's get on the box real quick. We got about 12 minutes left. What do you say? Should it be a choice, Chippy?
Everybody should have a choice of what to do, but it's very important to not let your choice be dependent only upon hearsay, what other people are telling you. Read it for yourself, research it for yourself, and then reach out not just for yourself, but to others. And that determines your choice.
All right. That's how you feel?
That's how I feel.
All right, Dr. Wood. I'm going to answer some of these questions too, Natasha.
I'm looking at the chat, and someone raised a good point about mammograms and having to wait on getting, on your mammogram if you had a vaccine recently. And what happens is the vaccine goes into the immune system and stimulates the immune system. So the mammogram is looking both for nodules in the breast, but also looking at reaction of the lymph nodes. So theoretically, the vaccine can cause a lymph node to mildly enlarge. And if it does something like that, you don't want to have a misread on your mammogram. So you need to give it a chance for the vaccine's effects to work before you get the sensitive mammogram.
All right, that answers that point. Thank you, Natasha. Regina, for sharing. Natasha said she's staying badass, non-vax. Absolutely, it's a lot of people. Here's the thing, Black people, white people, whoever else is are listening. Stop getting mad when somebody doesn't agree with what you choose. All right, stop getting angry with our brothers and our sisters of all colors because they don't agree. All Black people don't do the same thing. Everybody don't like fried chicken and watermelon. We know a lot of us do. White people do. But I'm just saying, but stop getting mad when somebody's you're angry with this guy because he voted Republican. Or he is a Republican. You not his friend no more. Y'all friends forever. Now you found out he went in the booth and probably voted Democrat, but you don't know what he did, right? But you mad. You mad at the person. This is what I say about the non-vax. If you don't want to get it, it's invisible. It's not like dog doodle, y'all. Like you can just see it on the shoe, say, oh, you got it. It smells, it stinks. We don't know that. But if you're going to not have it, then don't be around anybody. You know what I mean? Don't be that selfish. If you're not going to get it, don't go around other people because you don't know you're carrying it or have it or asymptomatic. You don't know. So if you're going to say, hey, I'm not going to do it, then that's cool. But don't.
I totally agree with you, Kevin.
Don't integrate with everybody because somebody is going to get hurt.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, Kevin.
And hopefully it's not you. And hopefully it's not you, the person that gets hurt. Tally, you on the box.
Well, it's interesting because, you try to, I guess, as much as possible, approach this when you have conversations with people and the facts and the numbers and who's been vaccinated, who hasn't, who's 12 and under. Like Dr. Wood said, when you go to the hospital, you have people say, well, I can't have kids. Well, if you die tomorrow, you can't have kids either. So, so that's not an argument that maybe 30 years down the line or 10 years down the line, I'm not going to have children if I do this. How about if you don't do this, the probability? So just like anything else you do in life, to me, it's risk versus reward from a personal perspective, right? For those of us who play poker and poker players, you like a hand for $2, but you don't like if the risk becomes $35 on it, right? So when you look at that, is what is the reward end of it, right? And so for me, it was the reward end of my family, as I said, and my friends and people that I'm around. What happened? So to your point of being selfish, but then I wanted to kind of have a little talk about how we as a community, and when you look at the word community, communicate, or whatever, we have a responsibility in terms of having dialogue about this, because it has been politicized now. And you have people like Mitch McConnell talking about, no, don't do it. Then yesterday, he's like, please, please, please get vaccinated. And based upon his constituency. So those kind of things really, to me, kind of blow me. Then if he gets it, and I don't know the drugs, Dr. Wood, but he has special drugs that he's going to take that helps him where we don't have access to that. You know what I mean? So, so you have to listen to your source and where the information is coming from. In terms of, and what is the reason for it happening? If you feel like you can take 700 pills and this, that, and the other to build your immune system and this, that, and the other, but the average person is not taking 900 supplements or whatever, we're going about our day to do that, if that's what you believe. So whether you believe, hey, it's kind of this or that or cheating if you take the vaccine, but I know me personally, I probably would not be, I miss my high blood medication pill right now. Probably this morning forgot to take it. You know what I mean? I'm like, oh my God. So the regimen that you have to maintain that and to stay on in a healthy immune system, I, as Impeccable said, I just believe that if you are going to do that, and then your responsibility is that, hey, you go out in your community, with those people, and you put them at harm, and you start feeling more safe, things are opening up, restaurants are opening up, schools are opening up, and you feel like, hey, I want to partake in that. Then you put, you put others at risk, and it's never, and you put yourself at risk because somebody else, as we said, could then compromise you in whatever way you feel like, that opens you up to it. So just my 2 cents on the box on it, but I do believe it is your choice, but just like any other choice, you have a choice to carry arms, but you don't have a choice to shoot everybody in the movie theater. I mean, or you don't have a responsibility to shoot everybody in the movie theater because you have a choice to bear arms. So with that choice comes responsibility. So if you're willing to take that responsibility of what you have to do, then do what you got to do.
Absolutely. This is just we want to just know how we feel and think as a community, because it's the real, these are real things happening every day. Thank you, everybody. Natasha, you crazy. Talking about if we all get it, then you good. You're silly. Anyway,
herd immunity, right? Natasha riding the herd immunity train.
Right. I don't know, Natasha. Stay with us. But thanks everybody. Emma, what about children who have certain disabilities? We talked about that. It's not a vaccine for everyone. And someone put in there, remember Nora said, remember back in the day when you had to have certain shots to go to school. It really wasn't a choice. When you went to register for that school, your doctor faxed in, signed a letter that you had your shots. That was it. What was in it? I don't know. I still don't know what's in the chicken pox shot. I know I got a scar, whatever. You know what I mean? I don't know what all those shots, polio, all those things that you had to do to go to school, because obviously in the past, that stuff hurt a lot of people. Now, the vaccination helped a lot of people. It helped get rid of smallpox. It's been things before, if we look back in history, but we are in it in today's time, and we have to make real decisions. T, thank you for sharing. Robert, thank you for sharing. Akila, thank you. Chris, thank you. Rachel, everybody, Rita, Dana, Dr. Draper, everybody from the Afro family. Listen, this is the Chicken Box. And if you don't know what a chicken box is, come to Baltimore. It's 4 wings and fries. And it is fried. You know what I mean? If you're not eating a little fried chicken. But it's a greasy box. You put a little salt and pepper ketchup on it. But we named this the Chicken Box so you can speak your truth. It doesn't have to be my truth. And I do not have to be angry with my brother or sister because they have another choice. But we are in a global pandemic. This ain't a rat. This ain't poison ivy. Or you just put some calamine lotion or something on. This is an invisible global pandemic. So get the facts. We got a whole video that'll give you some more facts. That'll make you want to look for some facts. But stop listening to Junebug and everybody else who says something about something and you take it as the gospel. Dr. Wood, my godfather, also my good Kappa brother, I'm gonna leave the last words to you. We got 3 minutes. Last words. You lived through it. And this is the point which upset me, and I told him this. When he went through it, he didn't tell us at first. Family member. He didn't share it immediately. You know what I'm saying? And like he said, when it got to 8th or 9th day, it could have went either way. Prayers still work, y'all. From praying people. If you believe in it, you know what I mean? It's the same thing with the vaccine and everything else. It's your belief level, not what I'm imposing on you, but I believe in prayer. And family members, a lot of times when people go through difficult times, they don't want to share it, but your family wants to hear it, needs to hear it. And those that can pray for you can do it, because God can wipe out the pandemic. He showed you he can shut down the country too. And if you still ain't relying on him doing this, I don't know what to tell you. It's an earthquake and you might fall in the ground. But anyway, Dr. Wood.
Well, it's been a good discussion, and thank everyone for joining in. And I've watched the chat, and there are so many other ideas out there. Let me just say that, I think the things that we do know are that one, we've had about 700,000 new cases worldwide, and so this Delta variant is real. We've had almost 4 million people that have died with this. A little bit more than 4 million people that have died. And we've given out 5 billion vaccine doses worldwide. So I guess what we're getting there. The herd is coming, but the herd won't protect you. If you've been vaccinated, you can still test positive for the virus. The question is, how infectious are you? And so we don't have that answer yet, but we're trying to get that answer. because again, we think, well, I got vaccinated, so I'm great. But I think we still need to take precautions until we know more. And to just say honestly, I think there's so much to know. Please be safe, make your personal decisions, but understand that this is no hoax. This is real, and it will visit all of us one way or the other as we go down this road. So I think we make decisions based upon the best information available at the time we make them.
Absolutely. Thank you, everybody. This has been the Chicken Box. I'm your host, Kevin Impeccable Peck. Hopefully, we'll have Dr. Draper, our co-host, and Misha Green, our co-host. We got a boomer, a Gen Xer, which is me, and also our millennial friends. And we even have some Gen Zers who tune in from time to time. Share it with somebody. If you're on the fence and you got some people who are really at risk, just jump off the fence. It's okay. Just jump off the fence. But not for you, for somebody else. That's me pushing you. I pushed you off the fence. I've seen people suffer. And anyway, love me or hate me, I want to see us be informed. But until next week, this is the Chicken Box. Go to afro.com, get a subscription so that we can unadulterated speak the way our truth is happening in the Black community. Have a great day, everybody, or great evening, or great night, depending on where you're calling from or where you live. Have a great day. Lenora, we got you. Next time, email me.
Yeah, I want to meet Lenora, please.
Lenora, we got you. We're going to put you on the show. All right. Have a great day, everybody.